Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. So today is kind of a different video for me. I'm going to be tier ranking all of the best romances from every month of 2021 in a tier list based on some of my favorite anime characters. So let me explain. It's going to look a little different than most tier videos because I don't have a Twitter, so it wouldn't let me make a template. So I had to do it in PowerPoint, but here we are. So this is going to be based on the personality of the character in the anime versus how I felt like the book felt. So for example, Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. He is a very OP character. He's incredibly strong, but everybody loves him. I think the general consensus of people that have watched Jujutsu Kaisen is that everybody loves Gojo. Everybody in the anime loves Gojo. So his category is going to be books that were really, really good, really fantastic, and everybody loved them. And then we have Light Yagami from Death Note. He is like the epitome of a hero turned villain. Through the events of Death Note, he is the protagonist and he becomes completely unhinged. And he kind of goes from that vigilante role of taking care of criminals that cops can't take care of to this fear-mongering character who wants everybody to bend to his will. We then have the protagonist from Shield Hero. Now, this character is a good character. He wants to do right by everybody, but for some reason, everybody just shits on him. Nobody seems to really like him, and so he just is crapped on the entire time. Terrible things happen to him the entire time, but at his core, he is good. So to me, this is a book that I loved, that not everybody else loved. Maybe that was disappointing for other people, but I personally think was a good book. So then we have Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. Tanjiro is just a good character. He has a hero mentality. He wants to do right by his sister. He wants to save his sister. And everybody that he comes across, he tries to save. So he's just a good character. These would be good books that everybody loves, that has great characters. And then my last tier is Todoroki from My Hero. Todoroki is very much one of those not really explored characters. We know he has kind of a dark backstory with his father, but he is just that misunderstood character. So this, to me, would be a book that has some things that people wouldn't necessarily understand, or when they read it, they're like, why is this so hyped, or whatever, but I loved it a lot, and I think it needs more attention. So these were not my favorite romances of 2021. I have a lot of favorites. Some of these will show up on my top 10, some of these will not, but I went through each month and just picked what I thought was a favorite. I had to make some choices. So these are the 12 that I will be going over. So the first one we will talk about is Wicked Intentions. This is the first book in the Maiden Lane series. And this was a 5-star for me. I thought it was fantastic. It is very angsty, very gritty. And I think that when people read the first book in the Maiden Lane series, they really, really love it. And I haven't heard any bad things about it. So we're going to put her in Gojo's category. This is just peak romance that I think everybody loves. Everybody is really interested in St. Giles and their romance, and I think it's just a fantastic start to a series. Everybody loves it, so I'm going to put it with Gojo. Then we will talk about Nightfall. So Nightfall is the 4th book in the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas, and this was Will's book. And this was a really highly anticipated book because we don't really get a lot about Will throughout the book series because he's kind of off screen most of the time, or off page most of the time. And a lot of people felt disappointed by this because it felt like this was overly long and a lot of the story was focused on the plot and wrapping things up rather than on the romance. And I am going to put this here. I agree that it was overly long, but I think that it made sense for what Penelope Douglas was trying to do. I would have preferred maybe an additional novella after this to kind of wrap things up rather than putting it in this book, because I did love this couple. But I personally loved this. I think a lot of people were disappointed by this or just didn't really like it all that much. And I think that it is, I still think it's great. So then we have The Heir by Sophie Lark. This is the first book in her Kingmaker series. It is a spinoff to her Brutal Birthright series. And this is a childhood friends to lovers love triangle. And it is set at a private academy for like mafia children. This is an incredibly popular book. I think everybody loves it. And it is very dark and angsty and a little bit mysterious. So I'm going to put it in with Wicked Intentions as well. I think it's just fantastic. Sophie Lark is a fantastic author, and I think she has just kind of like a mass appeal for anybody that likes dark romance. So then we have First Comes Blood. So this is a reverse harem mafia romance, and the heroine in the beginning of the book is 17, and on her 17th birthday, 4 guys show up, and her father, who is the mayor of this town, tells her that on a week after her 18th birthday, she's going to be sold to this group of guys that showed up, and they are not nice at all. They don't really care about how she feels or what she wants. They're going to take what they want. And so she kind of slowly evolves into like fitting that and like discovering her desires. So I'm going to put this with Light from Death Note. This kind of like is a good example of a character falling into like a dark atmosphere, because in the very beginning of the book, she is very much a soft, protected princess, and then she slowly devolves into like the criminal underworld. And I think that perfectly fits Light. So then we have Will You Be Mine? This is the first book in the Falling Like a Johnson series by Rilsey Adams. This is an incredibly sweet friends to lovers romance. The heroine needs a date to her ex-best friend's wedding, and so she asks the hero along. The hero has always loved the heroine, kind of in secret, and then their feelings for each other grow. I really loved this. I think it was incredibly sweet. It does have a lot of triggering content because of the things that happen with the heroine and her ex-best friend, but I think it was a beautiful romance in and of itself, and I love Rilsey Adams, so I'm going to go with Tanjiro. I think this is a fantastic book that people always like. I've never heard a bad thing about this. Some people don't love it maybe as much as I do, but I think it's a good, sweet romance with the best intentions, and it just fits Tanjiro perfectly. So then we have Rush, and if you think it's going to be in anything other than the Gojo category, I don't know what to tell you. This is absolute perfection in a book. This is about Rush, who is a rock star, and he goes to Dree, who is a choreographer, to choreograph one of his music videos. This has daddy kink and a little bit of age play, and the communication between these two is just one of the most beautiful things that I've ever read, and it's like far superior. It's a little mysterious, and everybody kind of wants more than what we got, but we all know that like it's just better than everything we could ever imagine. So it definitely goes there. So then we have Her Soul to Take, and this is a horror romance is the best way to describe it. And it is about the heroine who runs a paranormal investigation YouTube channel, and she ends up binding herself to a demon who wants to take her soul back to hell. I am going to put this in Todoroki. I think a lot of people like this book, but I think if you don't like this horror, like this sort of horror, culty, other like old gods kind of thing, then you're not going to understand why people love this so much. So I would say that it is misunderstood for anybody that doesn't really like that sort of like vibe. So then we have There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil. They're both from the same duet, but I read them in different months, and they were the best romances that I read that month. I read There Is No Devil, it came out this month, but I just can't foresee myself reading a better romance than that this month. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna do them together. So we have There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil. This is about Mara and Cole, and Cole is a serial killer, and he has a rival serial killer who takes an interest in Mara because he thinks that Mara will be able to convince Cole to lose control. And so a romance sparks between Mara when Cole like quickly becomes obsessed with her. And this is like their duet romance. So as soon as I said that, it would of course be Light Yagami. Mara, we find out in the second one that she's a little bit more fit for Cole than maybe we thought in the first one, but this is just unhinged glory that is absolutely fantastic. So then we have Zenny, and this is a marriage of convenience story between Zenny and Mason, and Zenny's great aunt passes away, and Mason was good friends with her aunt, and so in the aunt's will, they say they have to get married for 30 days, and then they will get their inheritance. This was absolutely beautiful. The communication of these two is fantastic. They're both bisexual. There is pegging in here, and they are incredibly open with each other. I'm gonna put this with Tanjiro. I think this is just incredibly sweet and has the best and sweetest of intentions. And so I think that this just is a romance that everybody could love, just like everybody could love Tanjiro. So then we have Neon Gods, and I think this is a very divisive book, and this is a Hades and Persephone retelling. I loved this. I gave it 5 stars, but I don't think that a lot of people like it, that a lot of people found it a little bit boring, and I would put it with Todoroki. I think Todoroki doesn't get a lot of on-screen time, and so people can kind of think him as like a second background character, but I think that this was a strong romance. I think that the chemistry is nutty, and Katie Robert is just fantastic at anything she does. So then the last book that we have is Hate by Tate James. So I know that this was incredibly popular on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, I don't watch TikTok, so I kind of stumbled upon this, and I ended up reading the entire series in the same month. I absolutely loved it. This is about Madison Kate, and it is like this very messy, self-aware series about this girl who gets framed for a crime that she didn't commit, and she lives with the guys that she thinks framed her. Again, I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know the general like feeling on this, but I don't really feel like a lot of people that I have heard of talk about it really like it. I've heard a couple of people that like it, but honestly, I haven't heard that much about it on BookTube, and I haven't heard that many people rave about it. And so I think that's gonna go with this category. So I don't necessarily think a lot of people like it, but I think it's good. I think it's fun. So that is that. And these are my tier rankings. So for all of the books that I think are just OP, everybody would love, and I think they're just far superior to other books, we have Wicked Intentions, we have The Heir, and we have Rush. For just unhinged madness with characters that might have gone from like the hero to the villain, we have First Comes Blood and the Sinners duet. For the characters, for the books that nobody really likes, but the book itself is actually pretty good, we have Nightfall and Hate. For a good, sweet, good-intentioned time, we have Will You Be Mine and Zenny. And then lastly, for the misunderstood books, we have Her Soul to Take and Neon Gods. So that is going to be my tier ranking. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on any of the characters from these animes that I talked about, or any of the books that I tier ranked. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.